The rampage in Thailand is over. A soldier who went on a shooting spree and killed at least 20 people is shot dead. The carnage ending at a city shopping center. And it's a three-way tie in Ireland, a blow to establishment parties like Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil, as support for the left-wing nationalist Sinn Féin surges. And coronavirus deaths exceed those of the SARS outbreak from 17 years ago. More than 800 people have died, but health officials say the outbreak in China could be stabilizing. Hello there, and thank you for joining us here on France 24. Thailand's prime minister is on his way to meet with victims in the northeast of the country. The officials have congratulated security forces after police shot dead a Thai soldier. Earlier, the man had reportedly killed his commanding officer, stole weapons, and then entered a shopping center in the normally peaceful town and opened fire. At least 20 people died in the attack, a figure that could rise as some 42 are wounded. Peter O'Brien reports.
It started on the outskirts of Koh Rat, northeast Thailand. Local police say the gunman, who's been identified as an army sergeant, went to an army base where he stole weapons and shot several people, including at least one soldier. At a nearby house, he killed 2 others. Police say he then stole an army vehicle and drove to the town centre, opening fire on innocent victims with an automatic weapon along the way. After this, he entered a shopping centre. Footage outside shows people taking cover in the car park as shots were fired and contacting their loved ones.
I heard the gunshots. Try to stay calm. The authorities will come and help you. Stay calm. I'm worried about you very much.
Security forces stormed the complex and evacuated hundreds of shoppers. More casualties were brought out, and there was an intense firefight which can be heard on this footage. Finally, the gunman was killed. He had posted footage of himself on Facebook during the attack. Facebook has since taken down his account.
Ballot counting begins this Sunday in Ireland after the general election. As exit polls show a three-way tie in first preference votes, the country looks set for its biggest realignment in politics since its foundation nearly a century ago. While the elderly appear to have preferred the two center-right establishment parties, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil, among young voters there was a huge show of support for Sinn Féin. The left-leaning party has tried to distance itself from its historical links to IRA violence.
It's neck and neck between Ireland's 3 biggest parties. An exit poll has Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil and Sinn Féin each winning about 22% of voters' first choice of candidate. If this is accurate, there's a huge task ahead in terms of forming a government. For the first time ever in the Republic, it looks like Sinn Féin, led by Mary Lou MacDonald, has performed well enough to be critical to coalition talks.
I'm not a Sinn Féin person myself, but they've made strides, and they'll have to be more under scrutiny now because they're possibly going into government, which is no bad thing.
I think there will be change. I'm hopeful that there will be change. In this country, for far too long, it's been dominated by 2 parties.
Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil, the 2 parties that have traditionally dominated Irish politics, have ruled out allying with Sinn Féin because of its historical links to the IRA. While Sinn Féin is a major force in Northern Ireland, it has long been a minor player south of the border. This time it's attracted voters with left-wing proposals for tackling the housing crisis and sorting out healthcare. Whether they end up in a power-sharing agreement or in opposition, this surge in support for Sinn Féin means a shift towards the left in Ireland and a new kind of pressure on the 2 big centre-right parties.
The death toll from the novel coronavirus surged past 800 in mainland China, overtaking global fatalities of the SARS epidemic 17 years ago. More than 37,000 people in China have also been infected, but the World Health Organization said that the outbreak appeared to be stabilizing. Kara Scarlin has more.
More than 800 killed on mainland China. The death toll from the coronavirus has surpassed that of the SARS outbreak from 2002 to 2003. However, the World Health Organization said the number of new infections seems to be steadying, but it's too early to say if it has peaked.
There has been a stabilization in the number of cases reported from Hubei, and we're in a sort of a 4-day stable period where the disease or the number of reported cases hasn't advanced.
SARS, from the same family of coronavirus as the new strain, killed 774 people and infected over 8,000, mainly in mainland China and Hong Kong. The new virus is so far proving to be less deadly. Chinese authorities say 2 to 3% of those infected have died, while SARS killed 9.6%, according to the World Health Organization. In Wuhan, the epicenter of the outbreak, factories are working to fill a nationwide shortage of protective equipment. China's National Health Commission warned against excessive and disorderly use of protective clothing, saying it could waste resources and increase infection. With a population of 24 million, global financial hub Shanghai has become the latest city obliging residents to wear masks in public. Meanwhile, many regions across the country are only allowing one person per household to go out every 2 days to buy supplies.
Well, 5 new cases of the coronavirus were confirmed here in France. All of the people infected are British nationals. All were staying at the same ski chalet in the French Alps. Now authorities are trying to determine who else in the group came into contact with, and including at local schools. Catherine Clifford has more.
Bringing the total to 11 cases of coronavirus in France, the French health minister confirmed new patients this Saturday.
There are 5 new cases, 4 adults and 1 child, and they form what we call a cluster, several cases grouped around an initial case.
The initial case is a British national who spent 3 days in Singapore for a professional seminar before travelling to the village of Contamine-Montjoie in the French Alps. They spent 4 days sharing a chalet with relatives before returning to the UK. The rest of the group stayed on in the Alps and were hospitalised on Friday night in Lyon, Grenoble and Saint-Étienne. 5 have been confirmed to be carrying the virus. None are in a critical state. It was in this Singapore hotel that the initial patient was contaminated, as well as other participants attending the seminar.
94 foreign nationals were gathered at this hotel, and we've since learned important facts, such as the presence of a person from Hubei at this event. And then there are several grouped cases linked to this professional event at the Singapore hotel, because Malaysia and South Korea have reported cases on the 4th and 5th of February.
Prime Minister Edouard Philippe held an emergency government meeting as French health authorities try to identify all those who have come into close contact with the British patients.
All right, time now for a look at some of the day's other stories, and we can begin in Syria, where regime forces have sacked the village of Sarakeb. It sits at a key juncture of key roads in Idlib province. Since December, government forces have launched heavy offensive on the region, which is the last major opposition bastion in the country. Violence has killed more than 300 civilians and caused 500,000 to flee. 2 U.S. service members were killed and 6 others injured when an individual in an Afghan uniform opened fire on them with a machine gun in eastern Afghanistan. The incident, which took place in Nangarhar province, occurred after a joint U.S.-Afghan exercise, and an investigation is underway. After 2 delays, legislative elections in Cameroon that were originally scheduled for 2017 will be held this Sunday. Fears of violence and security problems are surrounding the vote. The situation particularly tense in the country's violence-torn Anglophone regions, with separatists threatening prospective voters.
Faced with violence and instability, Judith Ndome is one of the thousands of people who have fled English-speaking Western Cameroon. Now living in the capital, Yaoundé, she won't be able to vote in this Sunday's elections.
I don't know where to register. I don't know anything. I don't know anything concerning election. When I was in Kumbambonge, They used to come and give us electoral card in the house, but yet that nobody knows me.
Security issues are plaguing the elections in Cameroon's Anglophone regions. Separatists there have vowed to block the vote and threatened to kill anyone wishing to participate. The rebels have been battling the government since 2017, vying to create a separate state called Ambazonia. NGO estimates show fighting has claimed more than 3,000 lives. In the lead-up to the elections, separatists imposed a temporary lockdown from the 6th of February.
Why is it like that? Because they don't want elections in Northwest and in Southwest. They believe that the government is not giving them their rights. They believe that they are being marginalized.
Cameroon's biggest opposition party, the MRC, has boycotted the vote, raising questions over its credibility. The government has sent an additional 700 police officers to the English-speaking regions in a bid to secure the polls, but militant group Boko Haram poses another threat to polling stations. Active in the country's far north, it has intensified attacks in recent months.
Well, here in France, the head of the Ice Sports Federation, Didier Gallagher, has resigned. He was criticized for his handling of a sexual abuse scandal that has engulfed the skating world. Though he was not implicated in any of the allegations, some felt he had protected a coach that was accused of rape, something Gallagher denies. Catherine Viette has the story.
In the end, the pressure proved too great for Didier Gallagher, the president of the French Ice Sports Federation, announcing his resignation in the wake of a sex abuse scandal that's rocked French ice skating.
I took the sensible decision to resign as president of the federation with composure and dignity, but with no bitterness in face of this injustice, with my head held high.
Gallagher denounced his treatment.
Before the tyranny of the ministry, and in particular the shameful threat of withdrawing support, not for a single moment did it occur to me that that was in order to impede the work of my federation, which I patiently rebuilt for almost 15 years.
France's sports minister, who'd been pushing for his resignation, has promised an investigation.
Today is a first step. We're talking about serious cases, the rape of minors, sexual assaults. We have to see this through to the end.
Gallagher leaves behind a skating world still in turmoil after several former figure skaters came forward to accuse 3 coaches of sexually abusing them when they were teenagers.
Well, Hollywood's award season comes to a close this Sunday at the Oscars ceremony. In total, there are 24 awards, with the biggest, of course, being Best Picture. South Korean director Bong Joon-ho's film Parasite has already gained cult status. Another favorite is Sam Mendes' World War I drama 1917. Alyssa Caverly reports from Los Angeles.
In just a few hours, some of the biggest stars in the world, including Charlize Theron and Leonardo DiCaprio, will walk this red carpet. But the big winner of the night could be somebody relatively unknown, Bong Joon-ho, the writer and director of Parasite, the first South Korean film to be nominated in the International Feature Film category, is up for 6 awards in total, including Best Picture. The Palme d'Or winner is a favorite. It is huge in Hollywood and has earned more than $30 million so far at the U.S. box office. Now, it also has won the Best Ensemble Cast at the SAG Awards, which often predict Oscar winners because a majority of the Academy features actors. If this film were to win Best Picture, it would definitely be a historic moment. The acting category, there isn't all that much to talk about. The winners will most likely be Joaquin Phoenix for Joker, Renee Zellweger for Judy, Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Laura Dern for Marriage Story, as they have swept all of the other award shows this season. Now, French have been nominated for 6 different categories. Les Miserables is not really expected to win in the international feature film category because it is up against Parasite. And the team from the animated film I Lost My Body is optimistic despite being up against blockbusters like Toy Story 4. Now this year is again, there will be no host, and we'll see if 9 months before the presidential election here in the U.S., the night turns political.
That's the news for now. Thanks for watching, and please stay tuned to France 24.